Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. It's Dr. Jonathan with 12 at 12. I'm sorry I'm coming on a couple minutes late here. It's been a busy morning, and well, it's just one of those things. If you haven't been here before, every 12 at 12 is a little different. They are almost never actually 12 minutes long. I usually spend a couple minutes introducing things and then talk for about, 15 minutes. But 12 at 12 sounds good, so that's the plan. And the intention is to continue to return every day to connect with whoever wants to and share some insights, tips, tools, and perspectives on how we face this pandemic in a way that will reveal extraordinary, empowering, healing, and important things in our own lives, despite, and in some cases, sadly, even because of, the great uncertainty, chaos, and suffering in the world. So, if that's not a jolly place to start, I don't know what is. Sometimes we do a meditation, sometimes we do readings, but I have something that I'd really like to just kind of get right into, and it's talking about the importance of perspective. Perspective is something that we've all heard about, we all talk about, but there's sort of a template, a formula, a kind of superstructure, if you will, that I like to work with, and it fits with some of the other teachings that I've done around the spirit system, the soul system, and the self system, the three layers of the self. The self we show the world, the true self within, and then our, what you might think of as, unified, eternal, universal self, right? The core to who each one of us is that transcends our individuality and our life circumstance. And what we find is that these three aspects of being human are all necessary for the human experience, and they work together, they interplay, and they shape your everyday experience. The trick, however, is understanding that they really have an order of relationship, a sort of developmental order that makes all the difference in the world. Now, this is definitely something I've taught before, and it's definitely something I'm going to teach 1,000 times again, but I wanted to put it in this little 12-minute encapsulation for you so you can return to it whenever you need to, or share it with those who maybe haven't really looked at the world like this just yet. Probably the best way to explain this is to give an example of something that was taught to me a long time ago by my dear spiritual father and mentor. In the book Return to the Sacred, he's called Wanagi Wachi. And some of you who know me personally, you know who he really is, or what his common name is. But for online purposes, Wanagi Wachi. And he is a Lakota healer and teacher and elder. And this was about 20 years ago when I was the new spiritual program director at a inner city hospital in Canada. And ironically, it was the spirituality department in this hospital that was perhaps as filled with as much chaos and infighting as any other department in the hospital. Sort of amusing at the time. We had, ministers and priests and rabbis, and some of them would actually sit in morning prayer together and then not talk to each other for the rest of the day because someone, hurt someone's feelings or something weird like that. Anyway, he came to help run a workshop to move our team along. And I remember stopping him halfway through. We were on a break. It was lunch hour the first day. Here I was, a young director in a big hospital, really wanting to make the most of this situation, really relying on his help to turn everything around. And frankly, it kind of felt like things were just getting a bit worse and not better. More tension, more discomfort in the room, less harmony. And I said to him, something like, how do you think it's going? Do you think we need to do anything differently? I mean, are we on track? I'm just not really sure about this. And in typical fashion, he said very little to me. In fact, he looked at me and he said, well, it depends on whether you're the mouse, the eagle, or the star. and then he left and went to the restroom. And I remember sitting there thinking, like, what the heck is he talking about? And are we going to make it through this day? I mean, am I going to regret these 2 days we've set aside? Well, for the sake of time, we'll jump to the end. That day in the afternoon, he talked about a teaching he wanted to share with them: the mouse, the eagle, and the star. And what he talked about was how he wanted us all to imagine the worldview and the perspective of a mouse. The mouse sees everything that is small and detailed up close. The world is a bit scary, the world is big, but you see all the details, little seeds and grains and blades of grass. The eagle, on the other hand, sees the mouse, but it also sees the rabbit and the fox. It sees the river the mouse is near. It sees the field. It sees the mountains. So the eagle has a higher perspective, and its experience of reality is different than the mouse. It sees choice. It has more freedom. But then, if you look at the same scene from the perspective of the star, a star that lives millions of years and maybe millions of light years away, we discover a very different perspective, a perspective that sees the whole planet. And a day is like a second to the star. A year is like a day. The life of any creature rises and falls with regularity and simplicity in a way that the star considers absolutely normal. Even war and famine and pandemic and ice age, all these things from the perspective of a star come and go as a simple, regular part of nature. In this way, we realize several things. First of all, each one of us adopts one of these three perspectives naturally a little more than the other. And you know what I mean by that. We all have people in our lives that are oriented around the details, right? You haven't even planned the trip yet. You haven't even planned the dinner yet, but they're already into, well, I hope they have these options, and what about the price? And, well, you know, I don't know if we can go there because we don't have enough gas. And if you're a star person, you're going to say to the mouse person, whoa, we haven't even talked about what kind of experience we want. We haven't even talked about where we could go, right? So the star wants to take it back to a broader perspective. The eagle wants to look at all the options, right? Well, we could go to this place, and we could go to that place, and then there's this place. So the way you see the three working together is that the star perspective, which is very much like the spirit system perspective, it sees all things in the vastness of time, and it is concerned with ultimate meaning. What really matters? And as we face this time, this pandemic together, that is a critical perspective to be able to access absolutely every day. There are horrible things going on. There are terrible, sad, painful things going on, physically, financially, culturally, but there are also extraordinary things going on. And we must be careful that we don't feel so much the victims of this when in fact people all over the world have experienced tragedies like this, you know, every generation virtually, whether it's the Great Depression or the Ebola outbreak or the financial collapse in 2008, or whether it was the fall of the Roman Empire or the fall of the Mayan Empire. Throughout time, we have endured plagues and meteors, and the star understands that this is another season for the planet, another season for the people on it. When we go to the eagle perspective, that's about choice, right? So the eagle has now hopefully received some context from the star, what matters most, but then it asks the question, so knowing that, what will I choose next? And it sees I can be in the mountains. It sees I can be by the river. If you are in quarantine, you have choices. I can lay on the sofa all day. I can, maybe where you are, you can get up and go for a walk, a long walk. You can take a course online. You can start writing. You can write poetry. You can paint. You can clean. You can organize. You have all these choices. people to contact and communicate with, choices. And once you've made those choices based on the reference point of the star, what really matters most, then you get down into the details. And then the strength and the skill of the mouth becomes essential. Because to say I'm going to use this time to get in shape is one thing. It's another thing to decide what activity you're going to do, and it's a whole other thing to actually do it. The mouse is a doer. The mouse sees details, tends to details, deals with details. And if you're in a family, let's appreciate all the different personalities, the visionaries at home, the people who see all the options at home, and the ones that are concerned about the details. No one way is correct. Each one can thrive in the right moment, and ultimately they are all needing each other, and we can draw from each in ourselves. In ourselves, we can begin a day by connecting with the star, make a plan by connecting with the eagle, and then take action by connecting with the mouse. We can do that again every time we sit down to a meal, or we can take another moment in the middle of the day and another moment before bed, returning again and again to the right natural order of things. Because what you want to remember is that if you flip this, you're in trouble. If you worry about the details first, if you let the news and other people's fear and panic come in first, then all you're going to see is what they're putting up. You're going to feel your emotional reactions clouding your vision. You're going to feel your conclusions and desire for control, which the mouse loves. You're going to feel all that coming up. And then what that's going to do is make it difficult for you to see the choices that the eagle can see, all the options before you. Yes, things are different. Yes, things might be difficult, but there is also opportunity. There is also change. There is also growth waiting for you right now. And if you are consumed with options, and maybe you know this from sitting on the couch, flicking through Netflix, you know that sometimes you can get lost in all the options, lost in too many perspectives on the situation, too many people to connect with, too many things to watch, and you end up killing hours of time and watching nothing. In the same way, you have to be careful about the star perspective. We can be too visionary, right? Lost in that dreamlike, fanciful state where we're only thinking about the good that can come of this. We're only thinking about a world uniting around solving economic disparity so people aren't so vulnerable, where people are recognizing our impact on the planet and its impact on us, recognizing just how interconnected we are. These are all visionary, star-like lessons that we must embrace at this time. However, you can't stay there. You got to find your own way to express it, to live it. And more than that, you got to get engaged and come out of the ideas and the plans into doing something. So you can use this 3-level perspective to manage your relationship and your awareness of the 3 levels of yourself. Your deeply rooted spirit system, your personal, powerful, authentic self, soul system, or your socially conditioned level of outer world engagement self system. The self system is the consciousness of the mouse. The soul system is the consciousness of the eagle, and the spirit system is the consciousness of the star. We all live with each of these realities ongoing each and every day. But whether we live with them purposefully, intentionally, or consciously is a personal choice. So with that, we've come to the end of our time. I'll see you again tomorrow, 12 minutes or so at 12 o'clock. Please go back and view this again later if you like, or share it with others. Remember that Thursdays on the Althea Center Denver Facebook page, I do an 11 a.m. Mountain Time, hour-long teaching and discussion. Sunday, we have our Althea Center Denver gathering. That's also live and online. There is a course coming up with the Althea Center on Friday at 12:30 Mountain Time USA. That's a sign-up course. It's going to be Zoom, in-person, live, interactive. And we're going to be talking about saints and shamans and why spiritual seekers for thousands of years have created the quarantine experience for themselves. Why would they do that? What do they get out of it? And then, I have some special things coming up that I will be offering here on my own Facebook page. Stay tuned. I have a new book that I'll be releasing next week, an audio collection that I will be releasing, a new course that I will be releasing, and Friday, April 10th, a 2-hour online live Zoom interactive teaching, questions, answers for people anywhere and everywhere, no charge. And I hope I will see you through some of these many opportunities coming ahead. All right, today was fast and furious. I hope you got something out of it. I love you all, and we'll see you soon.